Good evening, and good evening at home, and welcome to tonight's Saturday Live. Well, when I was told who tonight's guest presenter was going to be, my big worry was that I wouldn't be able to pronounce his name as eloquently as he does himself. But this turned out to be the least of my worries. In fact, the problem with this man was to be able to introduce him properly in less than a half an hour. You know him as a broadcaster, a commentator of Gaelic games and greyhound racing, but in fact in his time he's also been a teacher, a part-time trainer of the Kerry All Ireland. He's been a founder of Coláiste Gaeilge, and believe it or not, a greyhound trainer and the father of 8 children. Cuirge fáilte mór, Riv Mícheál Ó Muircheartaigh. 3, 4.
Well, here I am in this very odd-looking place. Not a footballer in sight, not a football, not a schlitter, not a hurler, not goalpost, not even a little bit of grass. But we're still going to have a show. It mightn't be a sport show, but I can guarantee you that a sporting team will weave its way into it before the finish and long before the finish. So right away, let's get on and meet our first guest of the night. He's a Corkman. He was educated at the North Monastery in Cork and at UCC. He then gave many outstanding performances over the past 25 years at various venues up and down the country. I first began to take real notice of him 2 years ago. I saw him walk a greyhound. The leash was at the right angle and the face showed just the right mix of hope and anticipation. Let's welcome Father Devereux of Glenroe, or in real life, Donald Farmer, the actor. Búil fútan son agus tóg bugger. Now, I said, Donald, you were a Corkman, but yes. Cork, like Dublin and like other cities, there are many parts of Cork. Could you identify your own local part?
Well, I'm from the city of Cork, which is naturally the best part of Cork and the best part of Ireland as well.
I thought a lot of it was called the city, though.
Well, yes, but there are certain parts of the city, and I'm from the north side of the city, in particular Blackpool, the North Parish, and it's a very interesting place, like many of other city.
Once you mention Blackpool, you have to know something about the game of hurling and good hurlers.
Well, I was reared not far away from the Glen Rovers Club, and of course one got very used to seeing the greats of my time, like Christy Ring naturally, Joe Hartnett, Vincey Toomey, Joe Toomey, Dave Creedon, John Lyons, all of those training and playing.
Himself.
Indeed, well, I was a bit young when he was at his prime, really, but I do remember him playing. But talking about the north side and the south side of Cork, there's a great deal of rivalry between them, as I'm sure there is in Dublin. And as people may know, in Cork, the River Lee divides in 2 branches. There's a northern branch and a southern branch. Now, the entrance to the north part of Cork City is really the Northgate Bridge. And similarly on the other side, the Southgate Bridge. Now, we were Glen Rovers fans, and the high point of the year would be the county final, particularly if the Glen were playing, and more particularly if the Glen were playing St Finbarrs or the Bars, who came from the south side of the city. And there's a story told, it's absolutely true, I'm sure, of the 2 Glen Rovers chaps going down the park, like Porky Chuive it's called now, but the park we used to call it, to the county final. And they bring the sandwiches with them, and they're down for a great day, you see. And unfortunately for them, tragically for them, the Glen are beaten. And they walk back very disconsolately from the park, and somehow they find their way to the Southgate Bridge, which is the edge of enemy territory. And the Bars have won that day, don't forget. And they're gazing very sadly into the water at the swans. And one of them starts plucking at the remains of his sandwich and throwing it into the water. And the other fellow suddenly noticed him. He says, "Hey, what are you doing?" He said, "What are you doing?" "I'm just throwing the bread into the water." He said, "Come on away over to the Northgate Bridge and feed our own bloody swans."